Hey guys, this is E with Scrapbooking with Me, and this is what we're going to make today. And this is a little folio, and it is made completely with just a plain file folder. So if you're like me and you've got some of those old file folders laying around, or just bought some and you have no idea what you're going to do with all of them, then this is a good idea. That's the front, and as you open it up, you can see we've got all kinds of pockets and tags. There's a pocket here, pocket here, pocket here. I made a little pocket right here. This is actually a pocket right here. Let's see. Let's put something down in there. See? That little half doily is a little pocket. And then you've got pockets here. I just haven't put my ribbon on my tags yet, but that is all of your pockets. And then there's the back. And now this was a blue file folder. I don't know if you have got any of these or not, but years and years ago, I bought a pack of just really cheap file folders at Walmart that had like blues and yellows and green and red and all that in it. And I've not ever used all of them. I used a few, but I've not used all of them. So that is what we're going to use. This one, we're going to use the yellow one on. Now you can use some that have already been used before. You can upcycle some old ones that you have. That's completely fine. You don't have to have the colored ones like I do. I just happen to have these in my stash and had nothing to do with them, so that's what we're going to use them for. We are going to be using this paper collection, and it is I Love Easter, and it has that yellow in there, so I think it'll go really, really well. And just a little hint, this is what's going to be in the March kit, I Love Easter, with a lot of goodies in there. This is something that you can get ready to do with your March E-Club kit. We also have the 12 by 12 packs of the I Love Easter in stock, and I'll link all of this below. But let's get started on this project. Now, the very first thing that I do is I cut this tab off. You do not have to cut that tab off. You can leave it and let it just be a tab out here on the side if you want to, or on the top. You don't have to cut it off. But this one the tab was in the center, and it really didn't look right when I halved the file folder, so I went ahead and cut it off. So I'm going to cut it off on this one as well, just so that they'll both be just about alike. So I'm just going to slice it right down through there. Got that off. And then I'm going to open it up, and on this part right here, since this has the little dip in it, I'm going to slice that off too, just so that they will be uniform. I like to start off with kind of a clean slate, and you're not wasting very much at all, as you can see. Now, this one has just a little bit of a nip on there, and you can see this one doesn't. I am going to go ahead and put my score lines on this in the center to make it fold over, and then I may have to trim this side over here just a little bit, because this is not an even file folder, so you'll need to measure your file folder first. Some of them are probably going to be exactly 11 3/4, and then some of them, like my cheap ones, are not. This is like 11 5/8. So I need to find the center of this and then do some scoring. So what we're going to do is bring in our big scoreboard, and then I'm going to flip it this way with the folded side up, and I'm going to use my Tim Holtz ruler that has the 0 there that will show me where the center is. And I'm just going to slide it until on this end I have 5, and looks like, ooh, it's almost 7/8. It's a little bit less, but I'm just going to slide it until each end is equal. You can see I have just a little bit past the 3/4 on here, a little bit past the 5 3/4 on here. So my center is going to be right there. Right there. Okay, I'm going to put it up here. Now, you can see that my center falls in between. Let's see if you can see that. My little center mark falls in between these, oops, there we go, these two marks right here. And I don't have a scoreboard that has the 16th on it, and I don't want one. This has the 8ths on it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and choose one of these to be my center. And I think I'm going to choose 5 3/4. So I'm not going to score that. I'm just going to mark it. There's my center right there. And I'll mark it for you. 5 3/4 right there. Let's go ahead and erase this little mark. We don't need that. And then on each side of that 5 3/4, I'm going to go over 1/4 inch. So from 5 3/4, I'm going to go back to 5 1/2, and I'm going to score that. And then from that 5 3/4 mark, I'm going to go up to 6. Whoops. Since these are really thick, you have to press really hard on that. There we go. So we have a 1/2 inch score line right there in the center. As you can see, we scored on mine. Now yours may not be the same depending on how long your file folders are. I scored at 5 1/2 and at 6. And then I'm just going to erase that center mark right there. We don't need that anymore. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish. And when I fold those two score lines and burnish, we may see that we need to trim one side or the other off, because we want this to, see, this is going to be our spine. We want both of these sides to come even, and you can see they don't. This one is a little bit longer than this one. And I'm going to make sure by coming from my score line out, that score line right there out, and see that's showing at 5 5/8. And then if I measure this one, I've got 5 1/2. So we want to cut this one down to 5 1/2. And I don't do this beforehand just simply because all of the file folders are different. So if I did it beforehand, I may completely mess up, because every one of them are a little bit different. My other one was even different from this one. I am going to, let's see, I'm going to put this in this way so maybe I can see it a little bit better. So there's 5 1/2. I'm putting my score line right on 5 1/2, right up there. And then I'm just going to trim that off right there. So that's the little bit that I trimmed off. Now let's look at it. There we go. They're completely even now. So that's what you need to do with your file folders. Don't go by my measurements completely, because mine may not be the same as yours, my file folders. Oops, I put that away and I shouldn't. Now what we want to do is fold this bottom part. This is where it's scored, or this is where it's folded. We want to fold this bottom part up. Now on this one, I folded it up. Let's see. Looks like I folded it up 3 3/4 inch. Yeah. So if you come up 3 3/4, it's going to be right there. Let me make sure that that looks about right. Yes, that looks about right there. So we're going to go at 3 3/4. Make sure it's nice and even. And we're going to score all the way down. Remember to press really hard. And go over it quite a few times, because you're going through two thicknesses. Now we can fold this up and burnish that. There we go. Okay, so this is what you have now. Now you can see if we fold that, this is going to be real bulky, the center is, and this is going to stick out a little bit, and we don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this middle out right here, because this is going to be a pocket on each side anyway, so we don't need that part right there. So you're just going to cut right straight up those score lines. On both sides. Just like that. And then I'm just going to use my little X-Acto knife to cut that straight across right there. Don't cut up through here, just cut this bottom portion. And it looks like I didn't get that exactly straight, so we're going to go over that again. Okay, now you have something that looks like this. As you can see, that folds much smoother. Now, I always go back and look at these and make sure that they're not going to come past this score line so that it hinders it from folding. And if it does look like it's going to come past that, then I trim off just a tiny bit more. So I'm going to go up and trim off just a little more. So when you're trimming this, make sure that you trim on the outside of your score lines. That way you will have trimmed enough to keep it from adding extra bulk then right in there at your score line. Now I'm going to go ahead on this corner and this one and just round it. And that's just because this one is already rounded a little bit. So it's just to kind of make them both look uniform. There we go. Now you got something that looks like that. You can go ahead and fold over and reburnish your score lines. There we go. Now we've got that. All right, now we need to put some pulls in here, some little pulls like we did in this one. Pulls for our tags, where our tags are going to go in. Now instead of making two little tags on this, you can make larger tags if you want to. I just wanted some little ones in there, so either way it doesn't matter. So the first pull that we're going to need is up here and up here, and you can do all of these before you glue it down. It makes it a lot easier. So you're going to put this one in between this score line and the end. And I'm using a oval punch. Let's see. See if I can get it somewhere near straight. Right there. And then on these corners too, we're going to go ahead and round. So I'm going to do that before I put my other little pull tab in there. This one is already going to have a little bit of a round on there, so it may not round very much. But that's fine. Okay, then we're going to put one on this end. And just kind of eyeball it. You can measure if you want to. There we go. Okay, then on these two ends, you're going to need to put one. Now, you can, since these are going to fold up like this, let me turn it back right again. These are going to fold up like this. This is going to be your top. You can put the pull tab just at the top. That's what I did on this one. I just put it on the top side. Or you can put it on both of them. That's all up to you. I'm just going to put it on the top because I really don't need it on the bottom. So I'm going to open that up. Slide this in there. Like that. Flip it around. There we go. Now I'll show you again. There's one of our pull tabs right there, one right here, one down here, and one over here. Now you're going to need one up here, and one up here, because this is going to be another pocket. So this one you're going to have to go through both thicknesses. That always pops up and hits me right in the face when I do that one. I don't know why, but it shoots me right in the face every time. Okay. So there are your pull tabs. I think you can see it like that better. My lights are pretty bright in here today because it's so dingy outside. But once I ink this up, you'll be able to tell exactly where everything is. Now you can measure it and get these perfectly straight if you want to. Mine's a little bit off, but I didn't measure. You know me, I hate to measure. So that's what we're going to go with right there. That's all of our pull tabs put in. Do you guys call these pull tabs when you put a little opening like that? I don't know if that's the right name for them or not. Let me know in the comments below exactly what they're called. I guess they're thumb pulls. I don't know. It's just to let somebody know where a pocket is. But let me know in the comments below if I'm saying that wrong, or if you know exactly what they're called. Let me know. I'd like to know. Now I'm going to take some fossilized amber distress ink, and I'm going to go around this and I'm going to do some inking. This is just going to help any of the places that I didn't cut exactly right, or any of the places that look a little bit off. It's just going to help close that up and make it look more finished. And I like to ink, so you don't have to ink if you don't want to. Okay, we have our inking done, and don't worry about it, the mess that it looks like right now. When we put our paper on here, that's all going to look great. This ink, very little of it is going to show, but it's just going to be enough to make the ends look like they're finished off where we cut that. Now I'm going to reinforce this spine right here. So I'm just going to take a little piece of Tyvek, and I'm just going to put it right up through there. And I don't want it to go past where this folds up. I'll make sure that I keep it down inside there so it won't be seen, but yet it'll reinforce this a lot. We're just going to go ahead and put this down with some art glitter glue. You can do it with art glitter glue, or you can put it down with score tape, double-sided adhesive, whatever you want, whatever you have. There we go on that one. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a piece right here to reinforce that. Let's see. Nope, we don't need to cut it off. Can't believe it's the right size. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some glue on here. These are just some pieces that I cut up out of a big sheet that I had. You can order this offline. Amazon carries it. Or if you have received envelopes that are made out of this, then you can cut those up. Please don't go to the post office and just grab a bunch of these envelopes to use, because that would not be very good. There we go. So we have our spine reinforced now. That won't tear open. Okay, now before we glue our pockets down, we need to go ahead and put some paper on. So I think I'm going to cover my pockets first, and I just want to decide what color I want to do those. This paper pack is so cute. And I'm thinking that I'll just cover this with this paper that has the little Easter eggs on it. I think that's cute. So what we need to do is on this side over here, we need to go ahead and mark where we're going to cut our little opening out. Okay, so I just marked where I want to trim my opening out. I just used the one below it to go by. And let's see if that works about right. There we go. That's about right there. And now, just to keep from having to measure, all I'm going to do is come up here where that pocket ends, right there. And I'm just going to mark a little mark. And then I'm going to come over here and mark a little mark. And that's where I'm going to trim this off at. So there we've got that one ready. And now we need to mark our little opening up here. And all I'm doing is just where that little pull is on here, I'm just going out past it just a little bit and making a mark. That way, when I slide this in there, I know that from that mark to that mark is where I need to punch my opening out at. Let's see. See if that's about right. Yes. There we go. So just like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. Remember that. You're just making, letting a little bit of that yellow show under there, and then you're going to put that down just like that. So I'm going to ink around this and then put this down. So there you go. Now this is a project that you can't cut your paper ahead of time to put on here. You can't cut your mats ahead of time, and I can't really tell you exactly what size to cut them, just simply because each file folder is going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and measure this one and put this one down, and then here all we're going to have to put down is just a small little scrap piece. I'm not going to use that same piece, but I'll probably flip it over and use that. We're just going to use a small little scrap because it doesn't have to go down very far, because this is going to be a pocket. It's going to be glued down. So just as long as you get it down far enough that once you glue this pocket down, that's not going to show under there. So I think I'll trim this one off and use, let's see. I think I'll be able to use this on both sides. So let's trim this down and just see. Yes, there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark right here where I want to trim that off. I'm going to mark a little bit past my little pull tab opening right there. And then I'm going to trim this. First I'm going to punch this, and then I'll trim that side. There we go. That'll work right there. And I'm hoping that this is not confusing for you. I know I normally do projects where I can give you exact measurements, and this one I can't really do that, so I'm hoping that you're understanding. If you're not, just message me below and let me know, and I'll try to give you the measurements as best I can. And maybe your file folder is the same size as mine, so then you can do the same exact measurements that I've got going here. We're going to put that down right there. Now right here on this corner, I'm going to have to trim that just a little, because that goes at a little bit of a, it doesn't exactly, it's not exactly rounded. It just has that little file folder corner on it. So I'm just going to eyeball it and trim it around like that. Okay, then when that pocket is closed up, that's what we have right there. Okay, so this pocket we can go ahead and close up. So you're just going to put glue right down the side. And then just fold it up. Now, as I said, you can see my pulls right here are a little bit off. I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to put tags down in there, and this one is not going to show with this one, but if you want to get them accurate and even, you can always measure them and make sure that they're even. I think I did measure them on this one, but as you can see, they don't really, this back one doesn't really show anyway, so it's up to you. You can take a little bit more time with yours than I am. It's just hard to take the extra time when you're doing a tutorial. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do this one the same exact way. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, why don't you just take that one and measure this side? Because they may not be exactly the same. And we want to make sure that we mark them and get them pretty close to right. But each side is not always exactly the same. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and trim that off first. Then we're going to mark our opening. Again, I'm marking outside where the opening back here is. Let me hold that up and show you in just a second. Alright, you can see where my opening is back there. Then all I did was I come out just a little bit, maybe a 1/16 from the end of that opening back there and made a little mark. And then I did the same thing on this side. I know that's hard for you to see. There we go. Maybe you can see that. And then I'm just going to put that back in place and then mark up here at the top. And I'm just leaving myself just a tiny bit to the end. Maybe an 1/8 all the way around. So there we go. We have this opening cut out and that one cut out. Then we will put that piece under there just like we did on this side. Now the same exact thing up here. You're just going to need a little short piece of paper because this is going to be glued down. It's going to be pockets, so you're just going to need a little short piece. And let's see what we can use. We want something that kind of contrasts a little bit with this. Why don't we bring in a little bit of that teal back there? See what that looks like. I like that. So we're just going to mark it right here. And then we'll go in here and glue these down just like that. So there we have it, and now we're ready to glue these two pockets together. So we need to put glue right here on the side of that score line and right here. So just run your glue right down through here. And then find your score line on the tie-back. Now if you don't have tie-back and you want to make one of these, you can just add an extra piece of paper in here. So just find a good strong piece of cardstock and cut it down and add it in. That will work too. Just something to reinforce this, because you know, you don't know how strong file folders are. They may not be very strong at all, and we want to make sure that this doesn't fall apart on us, especially if you're going to be giving it to somebody. Okay, let's make sure we press that down really well. Now I did forget to tell you one part to glue. On this end of this little pocket right here, on that end you'll need to glue those two pieces together so that when you put your tag in here it doesn't fall through. So just go in there between those and just glue that together. And if you waited like I did, you can still stick your glue up in there and glue it together. So just those two pieces right there. Alright, that is our inside. Now, I'm going to put a little piece of paper right down through here. You don't have to do that. It's just, to me, it makes it look a little bit more finished. So, I'm just going to grab a little scrap from somewhere. I may use this one right here. And I'm just going to trim that off. I think it just needs to be about 3/8 of an inch, I believe. I cut mine just shy of 1/2 inch, and that way it's going to fit right there. And you see it kind of matches up with my other eggs here. Now you could put a piece here and let it match up, and then a piece of this here and let it match up, and one there. I'm not going to go to that extreme, but you could definitely do that. If you wanted to make everything real uniform, you could do that. Again, I'm inking. If you don't want to ink, that's fine. I like the kind of grunge look a little bit. Not too grungy, but I don't know. To me, ink just makes things look a little more finished. You don't have that raw edge that's just shining out there. I'll put a little bit of glue right there. Alright, so there we go. We have all of the inside covered. And see, that piece is just going to make our spine that much stronger. Now we just need to decide on the outside, and this little piece will be finished. And I'm thinking I like that for the outside, because you can do all types of decorating on here. So I'm thinking I might use this. Now again, I'm going to mark to where it's just a tiny bit of the yellow file folder showing all the way around. Not much at all. Let's see. There we go. I think that piece is going to work. We need to round that corner right there. Yes. And then I'm going to ink. This has some really pretty spring colors in this paper pack. Love it. Alright, so there is our front one, and then we're going to put one on the back. There we go. We have that done. Now, I want to put a little piece of lace, I think, here to cover the spine. So let me look for a piece of lace and see what I have. And I think I'm going to go with this pink lace right there. I know it's not very bright on this, but I think it'll look cute once I get everything else decorated up. So I think that one's the one that I'm going to go with. And it does have a little line down the center, so I can make sure that I hopefully get it centered up. So I'm going to put it right down through there and then fold the sides over. I'm going to use a little Fabri-Tac on this because it works best when you're putting on lace to grab it pretty quick. You could also use hot glue if you wanted to. And then I'm going to go ahead and trim it off before I fold it around. Alright, so we have the front covered and we have that lace on there. And now I want to put something down on here and then decorate the front like we did this one. So I put some flowers, a little piece of a doily, and then some other little tags and things on there. So let's see what we have here. Now, I have these doilies that I've had forever in my stash. That green doesn't exactly work, and I don't really like that one with it. I really like that one with it. It calls it red, but I don't think it's red. But to me, it goes with that little stripe there. So I'm going to use that one. I think that'll look good. Like I said, these have been in my stash forever. If I can find some like them, I will link them below. They're paper, but I've had them forever, and they work great. So I'm going to glue down just the center of this. Just like that. Okay. I'm not going to glue around through here right now. I may have to come back and do that, but then I have just a bunch of little pieces of ephemera that we have got in different kits, the E-Club kits from here to there, just different pieces, all sorts and shapes that I keep in a little bag here so that I can remember to use them. These are some of the flowers that we got in one of the kits. And I'm thinking that these pink flowers are going to go good on here. And then I'm thinking about putting that little butterfly on there. And I really want something in here. I haven't really decided yet, but let's see what we have. Okay, I found this in the paper pack. It's a little piece of ephemera. It says, "You are some bunny special." And I think that'll look good right in there. But I'm going to go ahead and trim it pretty straight. I did do a pitiful job trimming when I was cutting it out. But I think I want that little bit of this paper showing around it. So I'm just going to take my trimmer and trim this off straight and then start putting everything down. Okay, and I think I'm going to put that up on dimensionals just to raise it off the page just a little bit. And I'm just going to use some of this foam tape. We also got this in one of our kits. If you are missing out on our kits and all of the extras that you get and the stash builders, then I will leave that link below. We're taking sign-ups right now for March. So if you want to sign up, you can get the March kit started. Sometimes we have a few extras left that we can sell, and sometimes we don't. March doesn't look like we're going to have but maybe one left at this time. So I'm going to move those around so I can kind of center it up. And we're going to put that right there. I like that. That's cute. And then we're going to put down our flowers. And I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue. That works best when I'm putting down flowers normally. And someone asked me, a new subscriber asked me, was I a Georgia peach? No, I am not a Georgia peach. I am from Alabama, but I'm only about an hour from the Georgia line, maybe 45 minutes from the Georgia line. So I guess I could be called a Georgia peach. She said that I had that accent that one of her teachers had. So if you're watching, I hope my accent doesn't bother you too much. But I am from Alabama, central, well, a little North Alabama, and over on the east side. I'm about an hour from the Tennessee line and about an hour from the Georgia line. So I'm right in between everybody. Now, I want a little bit of green in there, but I'm not sure. That looks a little bit too Christmassy. So let me grab a little leaf punch, and we'll punch out a couple of little leaves and put on here. Okay, I just have a scrap piece here and a little leaf punch. I'm just going to punch out about 3. And I just chose a green that would kind of match with our background there. And we're just going to put those down. Just tuck them up under. And now we're just going to put a few little pieces of bling on here. So let's grab some. I think I'm going to use some of the yellow. It's just going to kind of pull that yellow back to the top there. Okay, there we go. We have our bling on there. And on the inside, I'm going to go ahead and cut a little pocket to go right here. I have a scrap piece of this that's for the back, and I can cut a little pocket to go right there. So let me see what type measurement I might need. Okay, we'll make it, okay, I'm gonna cut it at 4.5 by 2.5. And that is going to give me a little bit extra to tuck under, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a second. Now I like to have a little bit extra on each end, so I come back 1/2 inch, mark that, or score that 1/2 inch. So I'm going to score it 2 and then score 4. So I'm scoring at 1/2, at 4, and then I turn it once and I score it 2. That's going to give me the makings of my little pocket. If you just glue your pocket straight down, you're not going to be able to get a lot in there. So I like to give it some little tabs on the end so that I can glue the tabs down. Now when I cut the corners out, I cut them at a little oval, kind of like that. I don't cut straight across because I like to have room to put these over and then glue that one to it, so that you don't have, when you're starting to stick your tags in there, you don't have anything obstructing that. So I'll show you what I mean. If I put a little glue right there, I can close that over, put a little glue right here on this end, close that over, hold it for just a second, and now when I put my tag down in there, let's see if I can find something. When I put my tag down in there, it doesn't get obstructed by the sides. So if you cut it straight across, it's going to get obstructed, but if you do it that way, it won't. It can go all the way down. Now we can just glue this down by putting a little glue there across the bottom and then down this way. Oops. And get it all over my hands. So there we go. There's a little pocket. Isn't that cute? I think it is. So we're going to make sure that that's glued down well. And then I'm just going to take one of these little doilies and I'm going to fold it, and I'm just going to put it right there, and I'm going to glue just around the sides so that that can be a little pocket too. But first I'm going to glue it together. Now you could cut this in half and just use half of the doily if you wanted to, but I have a blue million of these things, and I want that top to be more solid there, so I'm going to use that top fold for the top of my pocket. So let's see. And if you have a little bit of that back one showing, just trim that off. We'll put this down right there. Just make sure I get it straight. There we go. Now you have another little pocket right there. So you've got a couple of little tuck spots. Alright, now other than make my little tags to go in here, I think that is all I'm going to do. Now I will make tags for this, and then I will share the tags over on my blog as a PDF, so you can download those and trim them out if you want. I will make some large and then some small like I did in this one. So I will make a few all sizes so that you can have them to put in your project if you want. And if you don't want them, that's fine. They will be there. But I will make a few little tags for this little album and put them over on my blog. That link will be directly below. The links to all of the products will be below. All the products that I use that I can find, I will link those below. And if you're on I have so many people that say you're not linking anything, I can't find your links. If you're on a PC, if you will click that show more, it's usually in blue, it says show more. If you'll click that, it'll open up the drop down and all of my links will be there. I try to link everything that I possibly can. And then if you're on an iPhone or an iPad, there's a little arrow over to the right. If you'll click that, it'll have a drop down so that you can see all of the links there. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, I'm going to put a playlist right up here. If you'll go and click on that playlist and watch some of those videos, it sure would help me out on YouTube. And we will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. We would really appreciate it. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.